Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast. I'm Lanice,
And I'm Naila.
and we're here to film yet another episode of Through the Light podcast. Just want to give a quick shout out to Nana. She got us these really cute notebooks. It says, "Let your light so shine," Matthew 5, verse 16. Kind of goes with Through the Light podcast.
Yes. And it has different verses on each page as well, which is very cute. So,
yes. So, thanks, Nana.
shout out to Nana.
Shout out to Nana. So, today's episode is going to be interesting because I think our mindsets have changed.
Yeah.
In regards to this specific topic. This topic surrounds forgiveness, unforgiveness, and offense.
Yep.
So what does forgiveness mean to you, Naila?
Forgiveness means to me I feel as though there's two ways to forgive. You can forgive yourself and you can forgive others, right? When you forgive others, I don't necessarily believe that it's you necessarily forgiving them. You are forgiving what you had to endure, if that makes sense. So that way, the forgiveness is for you to move on. It's not for you to get over what they done or what they did to you, if that makes sense. So I believe forgiveness is more so for ourselves, and it's not really for the person that's doing us wrong. I feel as though if you forgive somebody, you don't have to tell them I forgive you. You don't have to necessarily go out of your way to stay in communication with them unless your heart tells you to. But I think it's more so for you so you can get through the pain that they caused you. That's my little perspective on it.
That's actually a really good perspective because I don't think I thought about it like that, but I think that's where I'm at.
Okay.
I just don't know how to put into words. I think before, literally probably last year, I thought forgiveness was just we're not cool. We're not gonna talk, but I don't have an issue with you. And how you just put it into a nutshell of it being I'm forgiving you for myself.
Yeah, because it's you carry on to that, what they did to you. So if you can forgive, that's essentially you letting go. Because people always say, I can forgive, but I won't forget. But if you forgive for yourself, you can let go of what they did to you.
And forget to the point where when you see them again, you're not harboring anything.
Yeah.
I think that, growing up, forgiveness is something that I just couldn't do right off the bat. And I think it's because I internalize a lot, which I still do. That's why I'm in therapy. I'm working on that. But when you internalize, you shove it so far down the back of your head that you don't remember until you're triggered. And it's when I'm triggered, it carries over into every relationship and or friendship that I create. So forgiveness is it's so important because if you're able to forgive somebody, you are not then offended.
Yep. And I think so forgiveness is something that especially our generation, I feel it could be any generation actually. It spreads across every generation, guys. Okay. People have trouble forgiving people. And I think even in the Christian community, we really have trouble truly forgiving people. You can say, oh, I forgive them, but do you really forgive them? Is your heart all right? Is your heart posture correct? Do you really forgive them?
No, seriously, do you really forgive them? Because I was saying, I thought I forgave people, but what I thought forgiveness was not my heart posture was extremely crooked. My heart posture still faced unforgiveness for that person. There was hatred. There was a point where there was hatred, and I think that another thing is that when someone else does my friend wrong or family wrong, it grows stronger. Do me wrong for all I care, right?
With that,
but my girl or my sisters or my best friends, that's when it really starts to sting. But I think 2 years ago, that's what prompted me to learn that forgiveness is very important.
It is very important.
Because there are moments where had I had acted out of character due to the unforgiveness in my heart or offensiveness, that would have been so bad. Like, I would live with guilt.
And you don't want that.
And I don't want to live with guilt forever, because how do you apologize to a person that's just not here anymore?
Yeah.
You know? So I think eventually you can. Now it's not between you and the person; it's between you and God. But why even let it get that far? I think it's a societal thing.
You think so?
This generation, especially for our generation, it's like we're moving so fast. Oh, that person did you wrong, cut them off, go to the next person. Yeah. But you don't realize that you're carrying on that offense into that next person, that next relationship, that next friendship.
Yep, that is very true.
I think for me, like, due to past relationships, I have been able to forgive.
That's good.
I have been able to let go, like you just said. Yep. And I know this because it didn't happen instantly where I was able to forgive. Like, I didn't just let the person offend me and then forgive the person. The offense was there. To be honest, it brewed for like a year. It was rooted. It was in there. I knew in my heart, like, I was offended by this person. But it took a year of getting closer to God, understanding what forgiveness is, to finally, like, be able to let go. Yeah. And it's harder when it's relationships.
It is harder. Like, it really is. And I don't know why that is. Like, you're talking about, like, romantic relationships?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, I think, like, that's something that I'm still trying to figure out, because, like, say, like, you have your friendships, right? And you have a romantic relationship. Both two different types of relationships. But the way you are with your friends isn't always necessarily how you are with your partner, right? And I feel as though we may expect more from a partner than our friends in different areas. Yeah. Because think about it. When you get married, you're with your husband 24/7, right? Like, you're pouring a lot of love into that person. That's romantic love. Romantic love and friendship love are two different things. So if something turns left, right? Something goes left in your romantic relationship, that love, it turns into that pure hatred. I don't really see that with friendships. Like, you can hate somebody in a friendship, but hating your spouse, hating your boyfriend, that's a different type of level of hurt than a friendship level. It really is. And I think that's what is different between those romantic relationships and your friendships.
That's really interesting. Yeah. Because I don't know, for me personally, like, I feel like because I love hard.
Yep.
Whether in friendship or relationship, like, I'm quick to say I love you to you guys. Like, I'm quick to be like, oh, like, I care about you guys. Like, I'm quick to express myself in relationships and in friendships. That I feel like if we had a fallout, like, I would be as upset as I would be in a heartbreak.
You would? Do you think that's also because we've been friends for a long time? Okay. Like, say, like, we were just friends for 3 months. Do you think that will equate to you dating somebody?
I feel like, because why does it still hurt even if it was 3 months with a guy?
That's my point. Oh. Is it that same level of hurt with a 3-month friendship, though?
I don't know.
You know? Like, this is years of trials and tribulations that we've gone through, you know? Right. And I feel like romantic relationships sometimes move fast because there's that romantic love, you know? We don't have that. Like I said, we don't have that with our friendships. So when you put that into your partner, it's different. Like, I'm sure, like, it's a different, like, I'm not really good with the health terms and stuff, but I'm sure, like, something like, I don't know if it's your endorphin, something that, like,
your dopamine,
something like that. Like, it's heightened when you're in a romantic relationship than it is with a friendship.
Yeah.
So it's always gonna hit different if it goes left.
That's actually she caught me off guard because I never thought about it like that. But just, you know, thinking about my past relationships and the dopamine hits I was getting for them, I think it hit harder. And I feel like with friendships, like, you just know that your girls are going to be there regardless. Yeah. Obviously, if you're not doing something intentionally to ruin the friendship, you know your girls got you. Yeah. Now, when a guy switch up, that's when it starts to hurt, because it's like, how could you do me like that?
Because you would never do that to them. That's how it is.
But I feel like if my girl did that to me, I would say the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I would never do that to you, so why would you do that to me? Type thing.
Yep.
But in the conversation of forgiveness, it even goes beyond friendship. Your coworker could offend you. Someone who you bumped into at the store, a pure stranger, could offend you. How you react in that moment tells you your heart posture.
Yeah.
And that doesn't become clear to you until you understand the heart that God has given you. Until you read your word, actually. How many times did God have to purify someone's heart before they can go on their assignment? You cannot answer God's call without a purified heart.
Yeah.
If you're holding the hatred of your father, how can you save someone who's a father? How can you bring someone to the gospel who's a father? Yeah. How can someone have salvation who's a father, but you have hatred in your heart against your own father?
How can you be a father?
How can you be a father?
You know?
So it's like, it goes so deep, and that's why God says, like, love your brothers and sisters. Like, going to the topic of love, like, when I think about love, I want to love my partner as much as I love my family, as much as I love my sisters, my brothers, my best friends, because love in itself is in God. God is love.
Yep.
There's no measurement of love. You should be willing to lay down your life for anybody that you believe you're connected to, destiny-wise, friendship-wise, relationship-wise. Any person that you know you have a strong love for, you should be able to lay down your life for. But this even goes as deep as this is the person next to you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it should be easy to love the person that's even a stranger.
Oh, and that could be tough sometimes because, like, especially like me, for instance, like, I'm the type of person, like, I'm a very nice person, right? But I also don't like I don't know how to interact with certain people. Like, I don't go out of my way to introduce myself to talk to people because if I don't know you like that, I just don't feel comfortable to do that because I'm the type of person where, like, I read everything. Like, y'all know me. Like, I read into whatever I'm doing. So if I'm in a room full of people, I'm reading everybody, like, how they act, how they talk, just to see, like, how I can fit into that. Because if I see one slight thing that's off, I can't just insert myself because I don't know, like, how they're going to react, you know? Yeah. If the vibe is not right, if it doesn't fit, like, with my spirit, I can't talk to that person. I really cannot. That's just how I am. But, like, I understand what you're saying. Like, even a stranger, like, if I see, like, people, like that are hurt or are in, like, harmful conditions, right? Wherever I'm at, like, it really tugs on my emotions. You know, like, if I see, I don't know, a single mother with her child and she's struggling to pay for her groceries, that's something that's going to, like, hurt me in a way. Because I'm going to feel that. Because that's something, like, if that doesn't make you feel some type of way, then I don't think your heart posture is where it should be.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Do you feel that way about the person who cuts you off on the road?
Of course not. Of course not. Because I feel like the road, right? I'm a different person on the road, okay?
Are you?
Because people don't know how to drive. So it's not, I think, like, when it comes to road rage, for example, right? I feel as though it's not the fact that you're mad at the person because they did something wrong. It's the fact that that person just put you in harm's way. You could have made me injure myself. You could have made me hurt myself. Yeah. Like, you could have caused a very bad injury to me and to yourself. And the fact that you were so careless and didn't care about me or the other drivers on the road, that's what gets you mad. And then you start saying all these different stuff, you know, like, you start going crazy.
You be saying that on the road?
What? Me.
No, yeah, I get it. Like, I will say I've calmed down with my road rage. Something about, like, that anger because of the carelessness of the other person. Like, I didn't even know that anger was in me type thing. Like, I didn't even know I could get that mad. So when I started to catch myself, I was like, I gotta chill because also people are, you know,
they're crazy out there.
We've heard too many stories of people, like, just taking out that gun and shooting. because of road rage, right? So I try to tread lightly, but I get it. Like, why are you being so careless?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, also with forgiveness, in the case of like relationship, there's just some things that you can close. Like, I think,
yeah, definitely.
If you would like closure, that's an option. But I think sometimes, like, it's just in your heart.
But you don't need it.
You don't need a closure.
And I will also go further to say that closure, you almost give it to yourself. You don't really need to necessarily speak with the other person. You can close that chapter with yourself. But you don't need those answers from them, you know?
How do you do that, though?
Through forgiveness. I think through forgiveness, you get closure. That's how you can close a chapter.
And, like, what's the process of forgiveness?
I feel like everybody's process can be different. I feel like you also, like, I think the first thing you should do is evaluate the situation, evaluate what went wrong in that relationship or that friendship. And then once you can pinpoint how it went left, how it ended, what caused it to end, I think you can easily be able to not look at that person necessarily as the bad guy, you know, and just view them as there's a bad spirit on them. You know? No, like, I'm being honest. Like, if we start viewing human beings as spirits, like, I feel as though forgiving will be very easy, because sometimes you can look at somebody and be like, that's not you. You know, this isn't the person I grew to love. This isn't the person I met. This is somebody totally different. And once you know that, I feel like it's easier to determine and to differentiate who the person is and what's following them.
Yeah, I like that you say that. To touch on, like, viewing people as spirits, right? I was watching a miracle service, and, like, a girl got delivered from her insanity. She had to drop out of school in Nigeria because she went insane.
What type of, like, insanity?
Like, she was just hearing voices. Yeah, she was mentally insane, right? She was hearing voices, and she just could not function. She got delivered from it. So seeing people as, like, just these vessels, you know, God can use you to bless someone, and the devil can use you to destroy somebody too, right? So if someone could be delivered from that, it means that whom you're dealing with, that's just a spirit operating in them.
Yes.
But also, some people, like, due to trauma, we want to talk physical, we want to talk mental, due to trauma, due to emotional instability, due to terrible parenting, because of parental generational trauma, all these things play roles into it. Then they end up being a bad guy. And that's what's hard, because you're not a therapist.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't put yourself in that position to fix this person. I think a lot of times we encounter people and we want to fix them. Yes. That's not your job.
Yes, it's not your job. And I feel like that comes, like, that happens with a lot of women. We want to fix men or build a man, right? Like, we can't, like, you know, like, we're not their mother. Like, we can't be, you are not that man's mom. I'm sorry to tell y'all are not his mom. That's not you guys' job, you know? And I feel like women, like, I think it's obvious, we are caring human beings. Like, that's who we are. So I feel like Lanice is saying, like, we cannot play that role to fix people, because if you're trying to fix somebody else, you will end up losing yourself in the process. You know? And it's just, you don't even have the tools to be doing all that. You know? What if you're not even fixed and you're fixing somebody else? How can you fix someone and you didn't fix yourself?
That is true. Or, like, you are fixing them to what you think they should be fixed to, if that makes sense. Like, you're building him up again, but it's like, that's not his destiny.
Yeah. And that's not even our responsibility. That's something that God is responsible for. He knows our purpose in life. We don't. We cannot build somebody. Like, it's almost, it might be controversial, but it's kind of what, low-key just a little bit controlling too, to be trying to build somebody to, because imagine if a man did this to a woman. We would say what? He's a narcissist, he's controlling. We would say that, right? So we got to be straight up. We got to be honest here.
It's both sides.
It's both sides, guys. That's why I said it's a two-way street in relationships. You wasn't alone in the relationship. I know it may feel that way, but we all play a role in things that happen to us. We always do, whether we know it or we don't.
And I think, like, from a personal experience dealing with forgiveness of a significant other, like, just recently, I was able to talk to someone from my past, and we were able to have a conversation about why the relationship ended, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, time has went on before even like we came to the middle to meet to discuss the relationship. And
how much time has it been?
Like a year.
Okay.
And we were able to be like, you know, like, this is what it was, right? From his perspective and my perspective, and calling myself out and taking accountability for the areas that I fell short in, that could have possibly impacted his actions towards me, and vice versa. This is what you did to me. This is what I did to you. But the thing is that I realized about myself, and that he even saw in me, was that there's so much maturity in me. Like, I was able to still laugh with him. Like, we were literally joking as we're, you know, building this closure and closing this chapter of our lives. Like, we ended it with, you know, if you need anything, like, let me know.
Yes. And when she had told me this, like, I said to her, like, I love that, because it shows that relationships can be healthy. Like, just because it ends doesn't mean like you got to be at each other's throats. That doesn't mean that like whenever you see them, it's on sight. That does not mean that, guys. Like, you can be cordial, you can be cool with each other. Like, you don't have to be enemies, you know? And I feel as though, like, I always say this, if you love somebody, right, and you end the relationship, you did love them before. That love doesn't just disappear, right? So I feel as though like you may not be able to have those conversations with every partner, but the partners that you do, like, how fortunate is it of you to be able to have that healthy communication with them, even when you're not together? Like, because they're not necessarily a bad person, you know? They could still be good people. And that's something that I was talking about when I said, like, we don't have to look at them as a bad guy, you know? So when you told me that, like, I was proud of her for being able to even do that, because like I was going to ask you, do you think like the time, like the year that needed to be like present, like it needed to be a year for you guys to have that conversation, or could have had to happen sooner?
I'm tripping. Like, I don't think it was a year. I think it was like 6 months.
Okay. 6 months.
Okay. So our last conversation was the breakup. And it wasn't an easy conversation to have, but it was a necessary conversation to have. I initiated the breakup because I just felt like we were growing apart. And this is somebody that like I kind of rekindled with. Like, we've had history in the past when I was like a freshman, you know. And, you know, there's just some people that no matter how much time goes by, that's just who they are. And that's okay, but you're not the person for me. And that's not a bad thing. I truly believe that if I don't work out with somebody, could be me, could be them. There's somebody out there for both you and I. So as those 6 months have passed by and I was able to like talk to him again, like, because he reached out to me, not saying like it will never dawn on me to reach out to him, but like, I don't think I was there yet to reach out to him. So getting that text from him and him like just opening this door for communication between us, like, I think maybe he did the work. Well, I found out he was doing the work and I was doing the work. Therefore, when we met again, we were strong enough to have that conversation. And already before the closure, I was in, like, I had forgiven him. I had forgiven him. And he didn't do nothing wrong. I have been through some things in my life, guys, that I probably will never disclose on this platform. But like, it wasn't something that like really broke me. I think it was God breaking me in this relationship. And when God moves, he's gonna remove people as well. I know that sounds cliche, but God will really take people out the way because he has to isolate you so that you can hear his voice and so that he can send you on your assignment. Yeah. So, like I said, like I cherish people who I've dealt with in my life because they are a part of my pruning season. Like, had it had not been for this relationship, I probably wouldn't have stopped drinking. I probably would still have my foot in the world. Yeah. I probably would still be lukewarm. But the relationship taught me that I wanted to stop those things. So, of course, I owe him forgiveness.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and I told him, like, I'm sorry for, you know, reacting the way I know it wasn't that bad as I'm making it seem like, but there's just some ways that you can say things, and sometimes your delivery be off, and it's like fix your delivery when you're talking to somebody, you know. So it worked out, and now I know I can call him and like bother him, and then keep
I
it
think
pushing.
That's okay too. And I like how you said how you were able to have that conversation with him, and how you may not be able to have those conversations with past partners, because I feel as though and I'll ask you if you agree on this, like I think it is harder to forgive people the way the breakup is. However, the breakup, whatever happened, whether it was bad or good or amicable, like that will show you how you will be able to forgive that person, or how long it will take for you to forgive that person.
That is a really, really good point. Like, if you need to, like, reflect on that, because when I think about that, like when we had that conversation, even when you try to have the conversation that you probably had with a past significant other that went well, you carry it over to a different significant other thinking that there's room to have that conversation because it went well with this person. It might not go well with that person because of how it ended. And I have an experience with that. I'm not going to go into detail, but there was a completely different outcome. There might have been closure on that person's end, but there was no closure on my end. I think that the answer to this is that people just see the relationship in different ways. There's two people who came together, and how they experienced it was different.
You have two different views.
How the
relationship went.
Complete different views, and like some people think they just genuinely did not do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that I don't think you have to even explain anything.
Yeah.
If that's how people feel, let the forgiveness now be for you.
Yep.
We're not going to hell for nobody.
No.
It's a no for me.
No.
No for 500.
Like, nobody's even worth it. Nobody's even worth it.
No.
Sorry, not sorry. No. Oh, no.
No.
And I feel like after, because I forgot when you had mentioned that. I think this was like a couple months ago. I want to say like in the wintertime when y'all came to my crib.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned that. And fast forward to like, I think like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was at church, right? You know, pastor was getting into the word, you know, it was deep. He was spitting, right? It was hitting, right? And then like something dawned on me, the Holy Spirit, you know, it comes to you when you least expect it, right? So the Holy Spirit came upon me and said like, why did you stop praying for so-and-so? Right? And I was like, And then
you couldn't hear?
I couldn't hear. I needed clarification. And then the Holy Spirit said to me, you was praying for them. You once prayed for them because you wanted something in return. You wanted God to bless you with something.
Ooh.
Right? And then you stopped because you didn't get what you want. You didn't get what you wanted. So why can't you pray for them no more? You should still be able to pray for them. And that's when, I was praying for somebody I dated. I was like, because I did used to pray for him. But then, you know.
You prayed for him when it was good.
And then things went sour, and I was like, I cut it off. I cut off that prayer line. I cut it off. No way. Cut it off. I just focused on my loved ones, and that was it. But when I was in church that day, like, that's when the Holy Spirit was like, no, like, you should still be able to pray for them.
And this goes back to like loving them anyway, because we can't pick and choose whom we're going to love. God said we have to love everybody.
I feel as though we should still be able to pray. Like God even said, pray for your enemies. And I'm not saying this person is necessarily my enemy. They're not. But I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna pray.
Yeah, I think that, you know, when you just get into your word and you really just study the word and you allow the word to be a teaching moment, there's a lot of things that you start to reflect on that you realize, like, oh, I gotta get right. Like, I can almost forget that I did not forgive this person.
Yeah.
I can walk every day of my life flaunting that, like, I'm just this good person and I have such a big heart and I'm loving and all these things, but there are people that I have yet to even talk to out of choice.
And you know what? I think we may think we've forgiven them, but you don't know until you come into contact with that person. How do you act? And that person's like, hey, like, how you doing?
I will say that, like, this was even for me, like, girl, when I saw this person, like, I was cool.
And I was, you know what? I was a little like, don't like for a
taking it back.
I was taking it back. I'm like, you did what? Like, what?
I said hi to them and I gave them a hug.
Hey, really?
And she was like, and I was like, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't go for the hug though. They came with the hug. I'm not gonna be like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Because that's me being offended. And that's me letting that hatred brew and cook and stir and then manifest, right? So I just was like, oh, hi. And kept it pushing. Like, I feel like we make things so deep. Like, it's really just not that deep.
Yeah.
You don't gotta be with this person every day. He doesn't live in your home.
Exactly.
She doesn't live in your home. Like, it's just that when you see them in person.
And I feel as though, like, what you're saying, how, like, you had mentioned how still, like, show up as a representation of God as the church, when you see these people that have done you wrong. And funny or not, like, I do believe, like, when you take the high road, it tends to cause a little confusion too, because, like, whoever you come across that has done you wrong, when you act like nothing happened or you've truly forgiven them, they start to be like, wow, like, she's okay. Like, they can't even wrap their heads around it. And I always say, like, if you take the high road, that will help you forgive the person as well. Like, what did Jesus say? Like, if someone slaps you, turn the other cheek for you to slap as well.
Really, Jesus?
Okay. Yeah, so it's like, take that into consideration when you come across this person that has did like the worst thing to you. You don't like have to cuss them out or be disrespectful. Like, still show up as who you are in your heart. If you're truly a nice person, don't let whatever they did to you change who you are at heart. Still be that person no matter what.
I really had to bring it to God. I was like, God, uproot this, uproot that, pull it out of my heart, like, purify my heart, change my heart posture. Like, you have to tell God. God restores your peace. He restores your mindset. He changes your mindset. He changes your perspective on the person. Like, you're gonna start talking more positive about the person, and your friend will be like, "Yo, like, what happened?" Be like, "This is just how I view the person. Like, I don't hate them."
Yeah, and you don't have to hate them. And I think too, like, that is helpful when you go into the next relationship, because I know some cases where, like, you've dated, a few people and it didn't go well, and all of a sudden you think all women are like this or all men are like this, but you can't honestly believe that. And I think that's something that we both, like, we don't do. Like, I don't see that from you, like, expecting every man to be the same or to hate all men, because if that was true, you wouldn't get into another relationship. We still keep trying. You still have to try, like, we don't know if that person is going to be our soulmate, but you have to try. You have to put yourself out there. And if you're not forgiving your past relationships, you will never be able to give yourself fully to a new person.
Don't tell God, like, I'm not ready for all that. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm good to be by myself. No. Say, like, God is preparing my heart. There's preparation happening.
Yeah.
And then take that to your quiet place. Take that to your prayer time and just tell God, like, prepare my heart, you know. And then on top of that, like, let's talk about the physical, like, go to therapy and process this trauma. Like, you don't deserve to be trapped in your trauma. That's not what life is about.
And don't get me wrong, it's trial and error, guys. We have tried, we have fallen short, but we always get back up. And I think, like what Lenise says about mental health, never stop trying, guys. Like keep going. You have to keep fighting, okay? Whether that you're fighting for your friendships, whether you're fighting for romantic relationships, whether you're fighting for your family dynamics, you know, fight. Continue to fight for those relationships that mean a lot to you guys.
All right, guys, that's it. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye.